Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. I am Sean Anderson, Most Valuable Podcast, and the upcoming segment is from our full Fast Break podcast that we recorded. And if you do want to check out that full podcast, head over to Blog Talk Radio/The Fast Break. You'll be able to find the full podcast over there. But you mentioned D'Angelo Russell, and somehow he plays into this next topic of what the 76ers should do with their third overall pick in the 2017 NBA draft. We're bringing this one up right now, and it's because of our last week's topic of how did the Los Angeles Lakers build around Brandon Ingram. And in there, Ben Williams mentioned something saying draft Lonzo Ball or Fox with number 2 with Luke's system, then move D'Angelo Russell to Philly for their third pick to take Josh Jackson. And it's something where you're raising this, and there's been a lot of talk of who the 76ers should pick, but then also should they trade the pick. A lot of Sixers fans wanting them to move down with Sacramento getting the 5th and 10th. I don't know if that's really feasible. I don't even know if D'Angelo Russell for the third overall pick is feasible, and if Philly would be able to do that or want to do that, and even if that would be the pick straight up, because I think that Philly would be getting fucked with that trade if they're trading the third overall pick for D'Angelo Russell. But looking at this, it kind of brings the question, a lot of options in Philly. You have Ben Simmons, you have Joel Embiid, you have Dario Saric, you have Jahlil Okafor, what they should do with that third overall pick. So, Ricky, looking at what the options are, trade, pick, what should they do?
I feel like just make the pick. Like, take whichever prospect you think is the one that's for you, whether that's Josh Jackson, whether that's Jason Tatum, whether that's De'Aaron Fox. I know that I've seen some things in the comment section where it's like, well, we can just trade back and we'll get whatever point guard that we get. Well, really, to me, if you're thinking of that, you're either A, thinking you're going to make a deal with the Dallas Mavericks, or you're trading for that number 5 pick with the Kings. Because to me, the point guards right now, if you don't take one at 3, the point guards are going to the Kings, to the Knicks, and to the Mavs. Those are where the 3 point guards are going. So even if you get the 10th pick, you're sitting there going, well, are we going to reach for a point guard? Are we going to go ahead and draft at need? I just say keep the pick, draft what you want, draft the best player on your board, and just move right along, trust in the process.
It's hard to argue with trust in the process, man. As a big believer in the process.
If I say something like, just trade Joel Embiid, trade Ben Simmons, trust in the process, does it still work?
No.
Okay, you can't just say trust in the process.
But trust in the process
Ricky, I don't think Ricky's pissing off people in the comments is what I'm saying.
Not yet.
Not. Usually I am.
I say not yet.
Usually you are.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Just your face gives it.
No, that's the punchable one.
But no,
I think you guys.
I think that it's not far-fetched to say that keeping the pick's a bad idea, because you will get, obviously your first or second choice at somebody, whether it is a guard or Josh Jackson. The big thing here is how reasonable is it to expect that trade down? The one that's been thrown out the most is the Kings one, the 5-10 combo. The other one, Bill Simmons being crazy with his swap, Markelle Fultz to the Sixers, Dario next year's first and this year's pick to the Celtics. Like, it gets to a cluster level of like Bill Simmons, like
Jerry
dreaming.
Colangelo's firstborn grandchild.
Pretty much. I mean, it's Bill Simmons' trade, so take it as whatever it is. But honestly, their best move, and I kind of want to say it might not be too crazy. You mentioned D'Angelo Russell. Like, if they could work a deal to get D'Angelo for the number 3 pick, and it depends on what else is involved in that trade, because straight up, I don't know if that would happen.
Straight up, that's 76ers are getting fucked.
Yeah.
You're getting a 21-year-old and passing up on plenty full of 19-year-olds. You talked about it in the one and done. You're drafting on potential and what these players could become. You look at D'Angelo Russell. Not only are you getting less control, an older player, yes, more developed, but do you want a more developed player with Ben Simmons as your point guard? Don't you want the player next to him to develop with him? I know he's a great player, but still, wouldn't you want a player to develop alongside Ben Simmons and not have a player who's already shown to be selfish and not have the highest of character so far, D'Angelo Russell?
I mean, he doesn't have a terrible character. He turned in his friend for,
cheating on his wife, or whatever that was. But still, you look at him and he has caused problems before in a previous locker room. You have less control on a player that you're going to
I understand. Those are all knocked, and it just
But what I'm just saying is Philly straight up for D'Angelo Russell. I mean, if Philly's like, hey, Lakers, we'll trade you D'Angelo Russell for the 3rd overall pick. Taking that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, Magic Johnson's not thinking twice.
No, you wouldn't blink with that. You would be able to take a guy like Malik Monk, who's 2 years younger, has more control, will be able to develop with Lonzo Ball. And yes, that team might not be that good defensively, but still, you have a younger nucleus there.
And I think that's the thing is you have to match the timing and you have to match the progression of the players. And what they have done in recent years is, due to injuries, is a lot of guys haven't gotten as much playing time in their first year, or second year.
Or because of
Nerlens,
Kobe.
Embiid. I was going the other route.
Yeah.
So I think with the Sixers, probably the safest bet, least sexy, is to keep the pick. Number 2, I'd see if the Kings were up for a deal, if they really wanted. And that's the thing, is like the Fox conversation is there, and it's definitely there for a reason because how well he performed to end out that tournament. But honestly, like, I don't see the Kings pulling the trigger on that one because they've gotten screwed so many times by the Sixers in the past that they just got to be like, we're walking away from this one. Got a phone call from Philadelphia? Not taking it.
Somehow Nick Stauskas would be going back to Sacramento on that trade. But the thing I want to mention before you jump in, Ricky, is what I would do with the pick. You keep it, draft Josh Jackson. Still same reasoning as a mock draft. Josh Jackson's best player available. I know Malik Monk's a better fit with that system, but then again, you're relying on 2 players who have shown injury problems before, Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. Josh Jackson could be a difference maker. He's a player that has a lot of versatility, could be a guy that can be a fantastic scorer, and pairing that next to Ben Simmons could be fantastic. What were we going to say?
There's one thing I would do before I do exactly what you said. I would pick up the phone. I would call the Phoenix Suns and try to sucker them into a trade to swap the 3 and the 4. Just kind of a, what do you want for the 3? A pick that Phoenix should have been in the top 3 but got bumped out because of the Kings. I'm trying to sucker them into a trade. Like, how much do you want Josh Jackson? Because we're going to take him.
So do you think the Sixers are calling like half the teams in the league trying to be like,
maybe?
So what's your price tag for the number 3? Like, how much would you give us?
If there's a team that has, like, if I found out that Josh Jackson was high on teams' radars, like the Suns, I would assume he is, I would be calling them up going, so how much do you want Josh Jackson? Because we're gonna take him, but I'm a nice guy, so I wanted to know what the cost is because I want you to have him too.
And even though he's in a bad, Colin Cowherd was mentioning something along that lines of, Boston should be saying they're picking Lonzo Ball just to mess with Los Angeles because
don't let Los Angeles sit pretty bad.
Well, yeah, that's pretty much what you're saying. Any draft is a ton of mind games, and that's where you got to start.
Bears fans here feeling a little dejected for the old Trubisky play.
No, well, I just
feel like that's a little coming into here.
That is a completely different topic, but I will say,
just mind games like, hey, we might be taking San Francisco was like, hey, we might be taking a quarterback at number 2, trade up.
It's the same here. I'd be like, I would be saying like, hey, we're gonna take Josh Jackson. I know you really want him. We might be able to work a deal. What do you want for him? What do you want for Josh Jackson? Because if you can get the 4 and maybe even another pick, whether it's later, whether it's next year, anything that the Suns have,
or a player like Brandon Knight or Bledsoe,
that might be a win. That might be a win too.
Just throwing
that's going away from trusting the process though.
But they aren't trusting the process. Sam Hinkie is gone.
I want trust
in the Colangelo days, which is why I could see that stupid move happening.
I'm just throwing it out there.
Ping pong balls are more valuable than veterans, Dave.
I'm just saying.
They are.
Hey,
unless their name is Emeka Okafor.
Yeah,
I'm just saying. You need a point guard. They have point guards aplenty. That's all I was just throwing out there. Or Tyler, or Tyler Ulis, if that floats your boat.
They're not letting Ulis walk.
But looking, I'm just throwing.
I'm
it
protecting
out there.
Tyler Ulis.
Fucking
I'm
Christ. Sorry. Anyways, away from that, looking at the 76ers, we obviously think the best fit for them player-wise in this draft is Malik Monk. But best player available would be Josh Jackson, like Ricky was throwing out there. Looking at a trade and say they somehow finagle that Kings move where they get the 5 and 10. What's the plan of attack then? Because we're saying they're passing on the 3rd overall pick. They're passing on Malik Monk. Possibly passing on Malik Monk for right now.
Basically, draft pick wise, they're giving up the 3 for the 5 and the 10.
Yes, that's the proposed deal. I don't know if the value balances out on both sides.
I have to toss something else, but
yeah, I would say the 76ers have to throw something in to balance that out. But just straight up, don't think about it too hard. They just moved to 5 and 10. The Kings move up to 3. They pass on the choice of getting Josh Jackson, Jason Tatum, and Monk, and seeing who falls to them, and they sit at that 10th spot as well. So looking at that and what they would fall, how would you see this draft playing out, at least for the 76ers? and how this would go, because you'd still see the Suns taking a small forward. We've talked plenty about the Kings possibly needing a small forward or a point guard, so that would play into them. Maybe they go and reach for De'Aaron Fox there. Maybe not a reach, but they go up and get De'Aaron Fox. What would you see happening 3, 4, and then 5, and then going later on to 10 after that?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm super conflicted here because I like De'Aaron Fox's fit with the Kings much, much, much better than his fit with the 76ers
Terrible
as a
fit
primary
there.
ball handler.
Terrible fit.
I mean, he's not your outside shooter. So I think if there was a reason that the Kings wanted to go up and reach for Josh Jackson and make that deal for Josh Jackson at the 3, that kind of plays really weirdly because I think that the 76ers still end up in like fairly good position because, yeah, JT's probably going to go 4 to the Suns. I think we've all kind of...
Well, if De'Aaron Fox goes 3, then Josh Jackson most likely is going 4.
Well, and that's what I'm saying.
Well, that's the question is, do they go for Josh Jackson at the 3 or do they go for...
I think the Kings take De'Aaron Fox.
Really?
Which I think I was going to throw out would be a stupid move for the Kings because the way I'm looking at it is, yeah, the Sixers could take Fox, but I don't see them taking Fox, so I'll just sit there and take Fox at 5. Why would I need to trade up?
That's why I'm saying they're going for Jackson because I'm with you on that. I don't think that they would reach up for Fox, but I think they would reach up for Jackson because of his top end potential and knowing that the Sixers,
and
like we
Suns
said, the fit is not great,
and
the Suns have a clear need for him. So I think if they were doing it, it would have to be for Josh Jackson, and the Sixers don't really suffer too much for that at all. It just kind of turns into, well, we can grab Monk at 5, we can grab Isaac at 5. We could do really whatever we wanted. We go back to Dennis Smith. I mean, I honestly, they have no problem taking any of those 3 guys. Wouldn't even blink an eye at that, and that kind of gives them more options. So I could see that working out really to the Sixers' benefit, but I feel like the Kings would just be like killing themselves if they went up for Jackson.
And of course, I'm not saying this trade should happen, will happen. I'm just saying if it does happen, what should be the plan of attack? And pretty much what we're laying out there is it should still be point guard or if Malik Monk's available, right? Because then at that point, Malik Monk would not be a reach. Malik Monk is falling into his position of like 5 to 8 because that's the range I see Malik Monk going is that 5 to 8 range. I don't think it's crazy saying Philadelphia trades back and takes Malik Monk because they're not reaching. They're not. You're going for BPA and Josh Jackson. They're going for the fit and Malik Monk.
Well, what it does is if the Kings move up, they take Josh Jackson, then Suns take JT. If I'm the 76ers, at 5, then I would take Malik Monk because I'd say, you know what, that fits more of a need than Fox. And kind of to go pseudo what has been in the comment section of our Laker video was, you know what, New York, Dallas, I'll let you guys settle it. You guys take who you want. I'll take the odd man out. You want Fox and Smith and give me Frank? I'll take it. You want Fox or Frank, give me Smith? I'll take it. You guys take who you want, and then I'll take the point guard who's left over at 10.
But then that's the crazy thing where maybe the Sixers do move back again because maybe they're not sold on a point guard, and a team like maybe the Pistons are really really thirsty to get a player and get a point guard there, and they see a guy like Frank, Dennis Smith, De'Aaron Fox, whoever falls, probably not De'Aaron Fox, whoever falls to that position, then they even trade back more. So I think what would be the best option all around for the 76ers would be to trade back, but then again, it's magic value.
Well, and I'm glad you mentioned that because on Liberty Ballers, which is the SB Nation site for the 76ers...
Make sure you're reading this website correctly.
A guy that... No, I'm saying a guy that they had mentioned in an article that the 76ers could be on the look for, but it just depends on where he's going to go, is Donovan Mitchell, who, I mean, he's listed as a shooting guard, but the Ringer has put it to where he can play point guard in the NBA. So that's a player that right now he's 18 on Tankathon's mock draft. Well, if the Sixers at 10 look to trade back again, maybe that's a, hey, let's look if anyone wants to move up, and then we can just take Donovan Mitchell.
That's to collect second-round picks.
If they flip a guy like Donovan Mitchell and they flip spots with at that 10 spot with the Pistons, we've talked about Donovan Mitchell possibly being at that 12 spot. So that kind of plays out. But then again, if you're taking Malik Monk, it kind of feels pointless to take a guy like Donovan Mitchell.
Unless you're going to play Donovan Mitchell at that point guard position.
I feel like that's going to take a lot of time to develop and plus, but
Which
you
have Ben Simmons.
But then again, I kind of do like that fit then because you don't have to. He will be guarding point guards instead of being a point guard.
Right,
terrible. I actually kind of like that.
Not the worst thing I've heard, Ricky.
Way better than that Bulls thing.
Yeah.
We had that writer calling us out. But final thoughts on the 76ers. I think this is probably way better because the weird thing about that.
Keep the pick.
The weird thing about that Lakers topic is people are calling us homers. We're not Laker fans.
Well, I mean, Dave has had Laker biases in the past,
and he's also had 76ers biases.
Yeah, that's why I'm even here. I'm balanced.
I believe you said it at some point. You just like rebuilds. I think you said it on the behind the pen.
I love to see teams rebuild, and that's one of the most exciting things is the NBA draft, the free agency, all these moves to see a team
and that's
get
why
back
Dave
up
buys
from the
2K at the trade deadline.
I do.
So what would be the most exciting for their rebuild then, Dave? And we'll end it on that.
Most exciting, I think they go best player available and they take Josh Jackson there. It's the safest bet, and I think that at this moment you haven't decided if you have your superstar yet. Joel Embiid has shown what he can do, but only in short spurts, and he has injuries. Ben Simmons, we haven't seen him play at the NBA level yet, and honestly, after that, it's like no one else on that team has stood out enough to me that says this is the anchor of our team. This is our builder on point. So until I've seen that, I'm not going to not take best player available.
Dario's a good player. Definitely not an anchor.
I completely agree.
Ja, definitely not an anchor. So, yeah. I
mean, he's an anchor, but like in the wrong way.
I think it'd be smart to just keep the pick and go on. Anyways, that's going to wrap up the Fast Break Podcast real quick. Giving a shout out to the 76ers because they ripped our video off YouTube and used it for the Twitter video, but it's cool, guys. We know you watch. We know you're big fans. I mean, totally just didn't type in draft 76ers on YouTube and take the first video. Anyways. That was our talk about the 76ers, the one and done, and Warriors. Tell us your comments and thoughts down in the comments below, or reach out on Twitter at Most Valuable Pod. Also, we've been posting on Instagram, so reach out on there at Most Valuable Pod as well. For Ricky Widmer, for Dave Oster, I'm Sean Anderson. Thank you so much for listening on Blog Talk Radio. Thank you so much for listening on YouTube, and we will see you next week. Thank you. Oh, shit. It's just one of our videos scared me a little bit. Don't forget to check out that one. And also don't forget to check out patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. But thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.